I've been thinking really hard about my strategy for the incoming cryptocurrency Bitcoin bull run, and I want to share it with you here today. And it's simply because I've been making videos here on YouTube for over 7 years now. And for many years, I've been working on the VoskCoin mining farm, especially the latest iteration, which in my opinion is a real farm. It's something I'm very proud of. And well, that's a key piece of this is really crypto continues to move further and further away from mining. But hey, I'm Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. I want to share with you my bull run strategy and how I plan to maximize my returns in this coming market. It's data driven and is rooted in the experience I've gained from the previous cycles. So some of my basic rules are about taking profits, right? At some point, hopefully, if we get a true parabolic bull run, prices are going to be ridiculous across the board. Everything's going to be hitting a new all-time high. And in my opinion, you're foolish to not take profits. I'm talking full profits. There are really very few cryptocurrencies, if any, that at the hype, heat, and top of the last crypto bull run that you couldn't have bought back for pennies on the dollars, if not at a significant discount. Right, I mean, we take something like Bitcoin. You sold Bitcoin around 60 grand, right? We don't have to have the top, you know, top was around 69. We take the relative top, 60 grand. There was so much time to buy Bitcoin at 20 grand and below. Opportunities to increase your Bitcoin holdings by 3 to 4x. I'm talking about the coins, right? And then it goes up again. You got 4 times as many coins, and now it's 4x. That's pretty freaking exciting. A lot of people get so caught up in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency that they're like, I'm never selling this, that, whatever. And look, that's nice. That's great. I love that. And I get that if there is a project that you are just absolutely married to, that you just believe in, you just 100% believe in, and it's going to be around in a few years. That's cool, and I can get that to a degree. I can also get that to a degree on Bitcoin. Also, like if you're in a good position and you never exit, then you'll stay there, right? Maybe it'll be kind of sideways. And what I'm talking about, right? It's not financial advice. It's my personal strategy. And I crypto all day, every day for years past, years future. I don't plan to stop. If you want to do one thing every couple months, that may not be the best strategy for you. Any cryptocurrency that doesn't have a long-term vision other than marketing, I'm absolutely dumping, right? Every single meme coin.
Dump it.
There's just not enough fundamentals. If the team's anonymous,
Dump it again.
because an anonymous team has no accountability. I do terrible here on YouTube. You know who I am. You know what I look like. I let you down. I end up feeling like a piece of shit. The end. Someone anonymous doesn't have that accountability. They could rug you tomorrow. You would never know who it was, and they could be your neighbor across the street, and you'd go out next day and be like, hey, Timmy, and you turn around and start crying because you got rugged yesterday.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
But you don't want to see good old Timmy neighbor with the greener lawn than you. See you feeling down. So that's kind of one thing I'm thinking about where my head's at. Speaking of ROIs, the other day I entered one of those ROI games, and basically it's a smart contract. It's gamified mining, right? It's a mining game. You're not literally mining like, say, Bitcoin, but they call it mining and hash power, and they even have a halving built into the whole smart contract decentralized application. It's called no mining. So it's been kind of fun. It's been interesting to mess around with something like that. It's not financial advice or an endorsement, but I've got a link out down in the video description below that will take you right to the game, and it also supports the channel if you do use it. We'll see where this ends up, but I'm excited and curious. My initial projections put me at a 40-day break even. That's pretty crazy. So that's a wild ROI. Will it work out? Is it sustainable? Subscribe to find out. Looking even more long term, let's talk a little bit about mining. You know I love mining. This I talked about the other day on a video. This is the last cycle for mining. It really is. This is the last cycle for at-home mining, unless there's some kind of breakthrough or something really shakes things up, or of course some kind of revolutionary cryptocurrency like one that I've been dreaming of for many years. Maybe I'll get the time and the team to launch it, where it's rooted in multi-purpose hardware. Let me just tell you real quick for fun, because I don't care about sharing the idea. It's all about execution and also the people that would be behind it. But let's say we take multi-purpose hardware, right? And this was originally prototyped with the VoskCoin Tri Miner many moons ago. This thing was a hard drive miner. It was a CPU miner, and of course, it was a GPU miner. You could take that hardware and cycle it through a mining algorithm where you have to have a device that has all of these. And then ideally, it even has an ASIC attached to it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be new. Let's say we have like a Bitcoin ASIC that are plentiful, right? Even you could grab something like a BitAxe or whatever, and which is like a mini Bitcoin miner, or there's some other ones we've talked about and shown here on the channel previously as well. But you have any sort of Bitcoin miner, and it performs a hash, and then you have the hard drives hash, and you have the GPUs perform a hash, and the CPUs perform a hash. And maybe we could even differentiate. You need an HDD, and then you also need an SSD, a solid state drive. So you have different types of hard drive memory here at play. But the point is, something that would be hard to mass produce, something that fights back against the massive AI GPU data clusters, something that fights back against the massive CPU server farms, and even the huge hard drive farms, and everything else that's existing in legacy hardware. If I get out there and I create the next, Ethereum or Bitcoin in the mining game where it's putting out millions and millions per day, there's going to be huge organizations going after that. And I would have to have something very resilient. Otherwise, you may as well just have an ASIC miner, an application-specific integrated circuit, right? That's an ASIC or an ASIC chip. You may as well just have an ASIC miner, because there are so many graphics cards out there that GPU mining is dead. I know, it sucks. People are sad about it. I was a GPU miner. It was so much fun. Those days have come and gone. You can thank AI and everything else. But to get to my point here, I think this is just going to be the last ride for smaller miners. It's going to become a $1 billion mining farm game. The only way to stay in the game after this cycle is going to be with solar power on a small scale, right? You have enough excess solar generation to, say, run one miner or two miners or whatever miners year round and no expense to you. Electricity rates are going to continue to rise. They're going to tease you. They're going to start saying, oh, we don't want to have energy dependence. So we're going to fire up our own nuclear power plant. Then people are going to get upset about it, and then it's not going to go through. And then there's going to be war, and then there's going to be oil scarcity, and the list goes on and on and on. The point is inflation. The point is the rich are already rich. They want to stay rich, and they want everyone else to stay poor or become poor. The erosion of the middle class is a very real thing. There is no middle class anymore. You are rich or you are poor, at least here in America, in my humble opinion. And if you think you're middle class, if you think you're teetering on the line, sooner or later you'll be one of the two. So for me, I'm viewing this as a key cycle to utilize the mining farm, to take profits with the mining farm, and then my game plan is to build out solar, offset my electricity, have that unique advantage and that long-term goal and focus, and I'll be good forever. If I don't complete that, if I'm unsuccessful with that, then it's probably just not viable other than to maintain on some sort of small scale. Granted, my mining operation did get a lot more viable due to getting my electricity rate down from 10 cents per kilowatt hour to 7 cents per kilowatt hour, which is literally half my electricity rate that I have in my house at 14 cents per kilowatt hour, which is why it's actually like 14.5. It's crazy, which is exactly why I'm actually deploying solar for my home first to erase my electricity bill that's about $300 a month forever. And again, it's not it's not getting better. Some people would say that this one's obvious, but it's easier said than done, and it's understanding the current narrative and rolling with it. Like, I am exhausted with meme coins. I'm exhausted with them. But they're still the narrative. They've been the narrative. They're still the narrative. The irony is I saw a meme the other day, not a meme coin, and it was showing 2 cycles ago was all about the narrative. It was all about the tech. Did you read the white paper? And then the cycle after that was, hey, look, it's DeFi, and we're earning this interest, and it's doing this, and we're on chain. And then it's like, hey, we're doing meme coins, and it's like, dude, stop. I don't even care. Just send me the contract address. I get it, memes. I'll buy it. I hope it works out. And that does like mimic the enthusiasm and the clientele of crypto these days, the user base. You were a crypto nerd and believer and into the tech years ago. And then it became, you're more of a on-chain user with a lot of, like let's say like the core of crypto, if you will. And now it's just like all these freaking lames that are buying the stupid coin of the week from the Anon dev. And last week it was a dog. This week it's a hippo. Next week it's a cat. And the week after that it's a hippo with a hat. It's mind. It is stupid as f. And that sort of market has reinstilled my drive to dump it on losers like that. It's so stupid. We used to think we were building something. We used to hope that we were changing the world. And it just continues to get further and further away from that. And I know there are still some good projects. I know there are still cryptocurrencies and protocols beyond just Bitcoin that are doing something worthwhile. I get that. I understand. I'm probably invested in it, hopefully. But the noise has never been louder. The reasons for that, I could speculate and go on and on. I'll leave that aside for today. But that's the point. That's the takeaway, is keeping a pulse on the narrative and engaging with that with a profit mindset, right? Not necessarily having to, be drowning in the Kool-Aid of meme coins. This is kind of in that same train of thought, but it's not really like getting too jaded and just burnt out and worn out, and you become like a grizzled vet in crypto and you're like, I've seen that shit, that won't work out, that's trash. Yeah, well, maybe it's the hot new thing and enough people haven't been through something like that, and that project takes off and you write it off because of your previous bad experiences, because you bag held, because whatever the reason. Right? It seems simple, but I watch it all the time. I've watched specifically crypto users from the 2017-2018 era. They have largely fizzled out. They think that it's stupid, or they're straight Bitcoiners now, or they're just bored of it, or just very disengaged, to be frank. So it's basically don't become too much of an old head. Don't get too jaded here. And on the flip side of that same mindset, how can I try to reignite my initial passion? I remember the day that I discovered Dogecoin. I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna put my life savings into this. This is so stupid, it's incredible. If I had done that, I'd have a lot of money. I didn't. Well, I did for a little bit, and then I didn't hold it long enough. But anyway, it didn't work out for me. But the point, though, is I would never do that today. I would never insert any meme coin here. That thought would never cross my mind. The irony, though, if that thought crossed my mind and I did that on the right one, I'd be stupid rich for the rest of my life. Or I'd at least make stupid money, and then we'd see if I'd be able to keep it with that level of IQ. I saw another meme the other day on the topic of memes, and it's the bell curve. On the bell curve, you have low IQ on one side, high IQ on the other side. And the irony is that you take the top and lowest piece of the bell curve performance, you probably have the best actual performance. You have that aping mindset at the bottom, low IQ. New coin in, all money, right? Okay, there he goes. Hope it works out. If it works out, huge returns. Then you have the super high IQ that, they're very much in there. They understand everything. It's all they do. You got 17 screens in front of them, maybe 14 iPhones, and of course one Android to ruin a group chat. And maybe he performs really well. But that mid pack, the average, I'll take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and never really getting enough exposure to doing things worthwhile. Being risk adverse in a risky sector is not the best strategy in my experience. I know crypto's risky. I know it's volatile. That's basically the gist of that. Don't get too caught up on some post that some idiot writes, or this guy put $20 into this meme coin and 2 months later he's really rich. Dude, that could be you. Statistically, it won't be. So learn to be happier with 2x's, 3x's, 4x's. You see where I'm going? 5x's. We're gonna skip this one. 10x's, right? 20x's. Victories are victories. The reality is, you're very unlikely to ever hit that 1000x, whatever. I've hit a lot of small wins. I'm happy about that. I'm proud of it. I had to be extremely risky in the beginning. Well, I didn't have to be, but I chose to be because I basically had nothing. Basically got $100,000 of exposure through credit card debt with 0% APR interest for 1 year to 18 months. I gave myself 1 year to 18 months for this crypto thing and GPU mining farm I'm building to work out, right? I bought Bitcoin with a credit card. It used to be a lot easier to do that. I bought a lot of graphics cards. I said, well, I've got this tangible hardware. If it doesn't work out, I can try to recoup my losses. I own my house, a little bit of equity, not much. Your boy was still paying PMI. I could sell the house, worst case scenario. I owned my turbocharged BRZ outright, so I could sell that. I was so close to trying to find the right buyer for it. I thought it was pretty sweet. I don't know if I really would have been able to get 30 G's for it. If I found the perfect buyer, I could have, but let's just say I could have. I remember I really wanted to sell it for 30 Bitcoin in that period, but I never got around to it. I didn't get it done. It didn't literally need to be 30 Bitcoin. It could have been $30,000. And with $30,000, I could have bought 30 Bitcoin because it was trading at $1,000. You hear that, you look back in retrospect, and if I had done that and sat on it, it's pretty painful to know that I could have sold my BRZ and purchased any car I wanted pretty much, and then had a lot of money left over. Obviously, it's been a while since then. You never know, but everybody accumulates those stories over time. So I try not to get bogged down by the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I try not to get bogged down by my mistakes, my losses. I've been rugged before, right? I don't let that cripple me. I don't let that devastate me. I don't quit. A lot of people quit, they give up. That's why it's best to be rooted, at least in my experience, right, in some conservative coins, right? Like Bitcoin's going to be here today. It's going to be here tomorrow. You could say the same about Ethereum, but Ethereum has been such an abysmal investment recently. It really pains me. But you get the point, right? These blue chip, these OG coins and stuff like that. And then I look beyond that to like more risky things, right? The backbone, for example, and a lot of my investing is through my mining farm. Why that is, talked about before, maybe another day, another topic, but let's just look at that, right? So the backbone of my mining farm is Bitcoin. So I DCA, dollar cost average, into Bitcoin all day, every day by mining Bitcoin, right? Even if I'm breaking even on my mining, I'm buying into that Bitcoin real time all day, every day. Then I added a big piece to my farm with Nervos Network CKB mining. I thought the miner acquisition price was good. I looked at the daily mining profitability, best in class miner, hoping it works out, and so forth, the potential upside. And I view this as a risky but potentially very lucrative endeavor. I know that this coin can lose 80% of its value, or it could 10x and possibly beyond, right? And there's just less competition there. So I grabbed a bunch of Nervos Network miners. If you saw my video about where I'm like, I bought 40 grand of CKB miners. I hope this works out. That's that. Initially, it was super profitable. And then it was so bad in my 10-cent rate, they were losing money per day. That really sucked. And then it pumped. And now it's the most profitable piece of my mining farm yet again. And that's what it feels like in the altcoins. Big wins, losing, big wins, maybe losing again in the future, right? And profits aren't profits until they're really realized. So I'm hodling that coin, and that means that I'm profitable in retrospect due to that pump. But if this coin loses all its value, all these potential gains I thought I had have been pissed and withered away. But a key thing, right, is skin in the game. And I've realized if I put a small amount to me, whatever that is, say it's 5, 10, 50 bucks, whatever it is, it just doesn't matter. It's like if this 100x's, I'm just going to feel like an idiot for not putting more in. If it rugs, I don't barely even care. Obviously, I'm not happy about losing money. But it's finding an amount that, like, the classic saying, like, I can afford to lose, but will provide me something worthwhile if the investment takes off and does well for me. So I figured out what some of those numbers are for me, and it's kind of different too. Something that's more conservative, it's a bigger number. Something that's more risky, it's a lower number for me. But I have these relative figures. Also, I try not to get overextended. Sometimes I get excited, I'm grabbing a little bit of that, a little bit of that. But having too many coins just becomes a chore. It's not fun. It's exhausting. You'll start forgetting about stuff. Which for some people, if they remember it one day and it takes off, it's like a blessing in disguise. But on the flip side, it may have a huge pump. You'll never know. You'll never take those profits. And then that happens to me, right? I end up as a financial loser. And it's frustrating. Nothing's worse than something you're in has a huge pump, and say it doesn't come around much. Like, it's like that huge pump for the year, and then you missed it, and then it just never hits that all-time high again. Not every coin hits a new all-time high. Projects die, right? If the project doesn't die, ideally every bull cycle it hits a new all-time high, even if it's not all that exciting, right? If the project completely dies, the team quits, whatever, hacked, exploited, all those things, things can absolutely, of course, be dead in the water. And that's why some people like me really favor old mineable cryptocurrencies. Dogecoin can never die. It's invincible. It's immortal, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be the best investment in the crypto game, but Dogecoin's here today, and it's going to be worth something in 5 years. Even beyond that, obviously, Bitcoin. Some other cryptocurrencies that are boring but don't disappear, like Litecoin. Litecoin's biggest flaw, it's just forgettable next to Bitcoin. It has no marketing. But the irony is that using Litecoin is quicker than using Bitcoin. It's cheaper than using Bitcoin. It's mined in the same fashion as Bitcoin. If you look at the actual performance, taking out the store of value and that OG factor, Litecoin is essentially a better Bitcoin. But don't take that out of context. Don't cut that out. It's ridiculous. Okay, so you could also say, like, I've got this old classic car, and on paper it's not as good as this new one, right? But this thing's incredible. Something about it, right? I'd much rather have a 69 Mustang than I would a 2025 Mustang. But that 2025 Mustang is going to be a better daily driver. That's more of the difference we're dealing with here. That's a bit ironic, though, in a way. That's where my head's at. Again, I'm Drew Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts. Where's your head at? What do you think? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Why? What would you add to this? Seriously, I'd love to hear from you. All you guys that take the time to tune in, view the videos, and comment. You make this all worthwhile. And let's close this out in premium style with 10 seconds of Tails, who, of course, is our CTO, our Chief Trading Officer here at VoskCoin.
Ah.